All right, welcome to another breaking news. We are thankful to God for the fact that Peter Obi is back. I mean, a lot of people were kind of troubled about his health status, and he said he visited a doctor somewhere in Enugu or so, and he said he needed to take rest. I actually thought it was exhaustion, and moving from one place to the other in the capacity to which he moves. Not that he's the president yet. He's not flying presidential jet all over the place. There are a lot of places he has to take the road. I mean, I actually thought how he was doing it. But he thanked all Nigerians that stood by him, called him, sent him a message of goodwill, and said that he promised that when he's back, we visit some entrepreneurs that are doing well in Nigeria. He visited an NGO and also visited an entrepreneurship house. But first of all, Philip, Peter Obi, back on his feet and running.
Yeah, I had to, put on this smile because my man is back. When I expressed concern over his health, and I received a backlash from my viewers, and they said, they look at me to be a person who is on the negative side. But the truth of the matter is that I was really worried because I wish Peter Obi all the best, because I think Peter Obi is the symbol of the future of Nigeria. And the Nigerian youth, I'm one of those Nigerians and Nigerians that are looking up to Obi, taking up the mantle of leadership in this country. So I'm glad that he's back and he's doing what he's known for. Obi, as it were today, is the de facto, the people's president. I will not say Nigerian president, because he is doing what is expected of a sitting president. And why I expressed that concerns and fear in the last episode was that this is the man that gives me a lot of Nigeria, a lot of hopes, coming to announce to us that I was in a program in Enugu. I wasn't feeling well. I went to see a doctor. The next thing, the doctor asked him to take a break and have some rest. Yes, it is a public it's a public disclosure, but we do not know the extent of the health issue that made the doctor to ask him to take bed rest. That was my fear. But today, that fear has been put aside. Obi is back on his feet. He's back on his engagement. He has started seeing, encouraging entrepreneur, and he has said that popular word, a new Nigeria is possible if only we can move from consumption
to production. Philemon, Peter Obi, first of all, your views about him and the country we live in. How has he been able to inspire hope in the minds of people? That's number one. Number two, I've always been of the opinion, on this table, we've always been of the opinion that we'll only get good governance when people that have been into entrepreneurship comes to rule this country. Politics is no entrepreneurship. Right. And in entrepreneurship, you make gain. I mean, you bring out something from nothing most of the time. Now, he has started talking about entrepreneurs. And talking about Bangladesh, for example, that made or makes their almost half of their, or more than half of their budget from producing and just sending. If you go to America, you take a shed, check it. If it's not China, it will be Bangladesh. I mean, Obi represents that hope that we see in Nigeria. He's back on his feet.
Well, first of all, we congratulate him for being back on his feet. And let me join my brother to say one thing I noticed. First, he did not jet out to America or UK or France or wherever to take the break and see a doctor. He saw it. I don't care what he was suffering from. Number one, it is very brutal to run for that top office. It is brutal. You have to have a lot of energy to be able to go through the wavelength. He's back. Now, Philip said he's a representative, is the people's president. I will not be very quick to jump into that canoe. He had his time. For me, his best outing was 2023.
Okay, let me stop you. You will
Right.
continue from there. You
yeah.
continue from
Okay.
there. Let me maybe throw more light on what Philip said.
Yeah.
If there is a flood somewhere, Obi will be there.
Yeah.
He will make statement. If there is a mishap somewhere, terrorist, I mean, name it, all of it. The president we want is the president that hears about what's happening to its people and responds.
yeah.
That's why he's saying he's the people's president.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. But coming from the perspective of a development economist, I look beyond those things. Those things are political in nature. And I say political in nature because we have seen people in opposition do certain things, they criticize government and all that and all that. But once they get in, what happens? There's a big shift in terms of perspective, in terms of action, in terms of pronouncement. The same guy who will criticize, oh, you are not in Maiduguri, oh, you are not in Bayelsa. When the person becomes president, he's stuck in Abuja. The only thing he wants to do is go abroad. Tomorrow he's jetting to Brazil, the next day he's jetting to... So for me, Peter B should begin to... I have not seen that retuning, because what he got in 2023 was fantastic, was an inflection point for the Nigerian youth. For the first time, the voice of the Nigerian youth was heard. But the question I've always asked myself since then is that, has he really harvested that goodwill and built it into a political machine? It's a very, very difficult question to answer. But from my perspective, he hasn't. Making statements, going on a visit, those are the peripheral issues.
The Obi movement.
Yes.
The
Obi movement,
yes.
Has he built it into a political machine? Can you truthfully say today, as of today, that there is an obese movement? Can you really say that? It is all in our head right now.
No. There is the Obi movement that is on ground. As we speak, they have registered people on their online. But that's why the reason I'm saying it. What kind of movement are you majorly talking about?
Okay, let me go back a little bit.
Yes.
Pre-2023, there was a lot of anger that was directed at the establishment. The Buhari administration didn't do well at all. So that anger, don't take certain things for granted. There's what we call protest vote. Some of the people that voted for Obi did it out of anger and protest. That, see, these things are not working. Let's throw our votes this way. And they decided to go that way. It was an emotional moment for Nigerian youths. That is why I'm asking today, did Obi sit back to begin to harvest that emotional outburst into a machine? You could say yes. Some people, there are some, like somebody said off camera, there are some die-hard people. Whether you are a Satan or anything, they will follow you. That is the core. But here, to be the president of this country, you need numbers. Numbers that will spread across the country.
Okay, I will hang you there and I'll go back to Philip. He's talking about the Obi movement. Whether it's an organization or an organization, he's talking about that movement. Let me give you an example of a movement that I see lately. Very dark man. He's quite young, but he has a movement called the Ratel movement. When he posts a story, you have 1.6, 2 million, 2.5 logging in on a particular handle on his social media. When he calls for something, there's a guy that he called that he's been supporting his things, and told them to follow the guy. The guy said almost fainted when he saw the way people were following him. Tunde Ednot's social media handle was brought down. All he needed was to come out and say, follow Tunde Ednot. I mean, in few hours, 200 people, 200,000 people have logged on. I think that's the kind of movement he's talking about.
Right.
Does Obi have that movement?
Thank you very much. You know, there are two different things here. Having, that movement on social media and political, they are different. But they all, zero down on what organic movement. And if you ask me whether Obi had that kind of organic, movement,
Followers,
I will answer in the positive. The reason is this. Like he said, it was emotional outburst for the Nigerian youth. The question is whether Obi has been able to harvest this emotional outburst. And the answer is in the positive. Because today, you have the obedient movement. We don't have Obi movement, we have obedient movement, which Obi as a person is a member of the obedient movement. The obedient movement cut across this nation. Before now, they were not in the north, but they have penetrated the north to the extent that Malam Nasi El-Rufai and the son, who were ardent anti-Obi, had come to say that what they know
or what they
now,
heard about him.
yes, if it's what they know now, they wouldn't have done what they do. And they have said, Obi, I'm quoting El-Rufai, one of El-Rufai, so that Obi, as a presidential candidate with a good support from the north, that by 12 noon, the election will be over.
While our EA was still making breakfast.
Today, the Obedient had a structure, which is what they lack, headed by Yunus Stanko. It cut across the entire state. In the South, we have one Onoshe who is the coordinator for the South, and they have it down the state. And these people are working day and night, and they have also learned their mistake. They are not only emotional anymore, but they are being strategic, and it's organic. Obi do not spend one kobo to fund this obedient movement. It's self-sustaining.
Goodwill.
So that's the question he asked. If he has harvested from the Nigerian youth emotional outburst, the answer is yes. Obi had that. Obi is the only person as of today who showed interest in running the affairs of this country that had that organic movement. Who are the possible presidential candidate today in Nigeria? You have
Atiku Abubakar,
Right Honorable Rotimi Amaechi of Rivers State. You have former Vice President Abubakar Atiku. You have Peter Obi and President Goodluck Jonathan and the city president. In all of this, both the city president and former vice president, Obi is the only person who will say he's interested, or he's not even saying he's interested. People are already walking ahead for him to be interested. Like when I mentioned that Obi fell ahead and what will become of him, become president, you saw the outburst from the viewer in the comment. Obi is not somebody you take lightly. Yes, very dark man had that kind of movement. This very dark man and Macron, all of them, one way or the other, they are Obi followers quietly. So all of that put together, they form part of the organic movement that is supporting Obi today. So
all right. All right, let me come back to you. I know where you're coming from. Now let's look at it from another angle. An arm of that school of thought. Now, Obi has not been able to make a governor. Obi has not been able, after the election, from the off-cycle election, the midterm election that we look at, he has not been able to make a House of Rep member or a senator. If Obi, every house, this structure is built on a foundation, and the foundation must have a space for kitchen, a dining, a living room, ant room, whatever you call it. We don't see this structure in the Obi movement. That's why I'm worried. I don't know if that's what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. And let's just reflect a little bit. Where are all the people who were elected on the platform of the Labour Party? Where are they today? Have you asked yourself that? Where are they?
Is that one an Obi issue?
It is an Obi issue. Because the Labour Party was was the party that gave him the uniform, was the party that dressed him up, the party that threw him up. Today, can you look out there and find anything substantial that Peter Obi has done in the Labour Party as the party that threw him up? Don't forget how he was ignominiously thrown out of the PDP. And Labour Party welcomed him without precondition. He just jumped in there and picked the ticket.
But he doesn't run their face.
Wait. As a presidential candidate, you are now the father, you are now the driver, you are now the all and all for that political party.
But the ruling party infiltrated Labour.
That is the argument everybody puts forward. It's a war. It's a league. In the league, you have your own style. You can tell your players. You see that guy over there? He's the scorer. Make sure he doesn't get to the 3-yard box. Bring him down if you have to bring him. I don't care whether you get a penalty kick. So that infiltration is part. In fact, when I see politicians who make that's number one evidence that you have given up. Because it is a battle. When you go to battle, don't start complaining, oh, you are shooting me below the belt. No. It's a battle. Whatever you can do to win, you win. If you think you are being infiltrated, build more guardrails around your structures and protect your structures and be ready to fight. It's a dirty game. Is that what everybody's saying? So it's a dirty game, then you wear a white dress and a white hat and you say, please don't stain my dress. No. You are in the fight. You are in the fight. Whatever you see in the fight, you take it. That's it.
Becoming more interesting. Philip, I know you are not totally of that opinion, but what is glaring is the fact that these people that are in the ruling party, for example, they don't play by the rules of the book. How can it be? Let's look at now. Let's leave what's in the past. Let's look at the present and the future. How can he galvanize and begin to wield his influence from one place to the other? We saw him in Bauchi the other day, where he went to a nursing school, and I mean, it was a pleasant reception from somewhere from the north. And Bala Mohammed, the governor of Bauchi State, welcomed him. Do you understand? And in one of the reception he had for him one time, said, we cannot say that Obi is not the head of opposition. As it is right now, Obi is the head of opposition in Nigeria. How can he build on this goodwill and build his structure?
Very well. You know, when my friend was speaking, based on your questions, what has happened to the elected member under the platform of a Labour Party? And he just said this will be making, even though you try to point out the fact that the party has been infiltrated and all of that. It seems not to agree with you. But the issue here is, we have spoken about eternal democracy. If you withdraw your mind back, most of these men and women that were elected under the platform of Labour Party in the last general election, especially to the National Assembly, to the Senate and the House of Rep, most of them on their own, they can win a councillor election, especially in the case of Kaduna State, a motorcycle rider who won to the House of Rep just because he was under the covering of Peter Obi/Labour Party. Now, the people, they are who they are before they bear the flag of Labour Party. As soon as they get to office, they show their true color. That is, I don't think that will be a problem. But if you ask me what it will be doing, is it building structure? You also speak of, since throughout all the off-cycle election, Obi has not been able to win any other elections. The answer to this is very simple. You know that this country, immediately after the presidential election, after INEC has come up with the story of glitches that, forestall them from posting a result from unit to the server, they have maintained that posture to enable them to perpetuate evil against the masses by not giving true electoral result. Apart from Obi, has any other political party won election on the off-cycle election? The answer is before the society. What the APC has succeeded in doing after the general election is to show that APC is popular by winning all other elections. And the former national chairman of APC, Ganduji, said we have captured Edo, the next is this, and it's on, and they said they are capturing. They don't say they are winning election. So, if that is the case, you cannot say Obi has not been able to build on his popularity and the outburst for not winning off-cycle election. What has happened is that the off-cycle election were gagged by the ruling party to make it look as if they are popular. So it is not because Obi had not done enough job to build a house, to set aside.
But this gagging has been there.
Yes,
I'm
coming. I agree with his analysis to say that if you are going to a battlefield, remember that you have your status, the opponent has the status. If you fail, if you say, oh, because the opponent has a better status, then you have lost the job. You have lost the war. I agree with it completely. So that is why whatever Obi is doing is to his shares. Obi is working very, very hard. Despite his fall, he had suffered. The setback suffered over the weekend. He was with Erufai in Owerri. Erufai came to Owerri and he was there to host it. What Obi had done, the only thing Obi didn't do rightly in the 2023 election, his presence in the north was not fed very much. But that he is doing day and night, like you said. He was in Bauchi. He had meeting with Erufai in Abuja. He has hosted Erufai. You know, Erufai is one of the figures you can think of in the present day northern Nigeria when you talk about politics. Obi will not come to tell the public, like he rightly pointed out, that this is my first 11 for the 2027 election. Whatever he's doing with his movement is strictly to their heart. I know as a fact that the Obi and the Obidients are working very hard to checkmate INEC, to ensure that their votes will not be thrown away this time. Because we witness in Delta State, most of Obi vote in Delta North were seen on the street, especially in Ogwashuka and Ika North East. Those ballot voters will be they were removed and thrown, and they were recovered. The videos they are in the internet, they are in the circle. So they are working very, very hard, but they will not make it known to the public, because once it's made known, it's no longer a strategy.
Okay, all right. I think I kind of understand what you're saying about Obi. I think I hold that view to a large extent. Like, he didn't answer me, what do you think the obedient people can do to standardize all they are doing so that they can be more visible and they will have an upper hand in 2020?
I answered you. I said that is to their heart, because if you
no, we don't want to. Hold on. You see, hold on. This particular president,
yes,
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu,
yes.
The way you said it now, that's the way he says it. He said, I hold it to my heart.
Yes, and that's how it's
in Nigeria, we don't want to hold it to your heart. Tell the people what you want to do. Do you understand? Because that's been our problem. I think that's a problem. You want to govern me? You are saying you are holding it to your heart?
It's not.
Whatever he's holding to his heart is what we are seeing today.
No, the way he will get into office, the plan with which he will get into office is what is holding to his heart.
That's what Tinubu had to his heart.
Do you know what I would recommend to Philip? There's Obama's book. You should go and read Obama's book and see how strategy brings people to power. For one, I do not believe. I've always believed that America will have a woman president before a black president.
And you were proved wrong.
No, but I was proved wrong. So I took time to read the story of how Obama organized his machine. It was a formidable machine.
And targeted at a particular demography.
Which is the same demography
that Obi has
we are
today.
talking about in Nigeria.
Yes.
That is why I keep saying
70%.
What are you doing? It's not to release press statement. Any idiot can do that. It's not to talk about what the ruling party is doing wrong. Anybody can say that. How do you galvanize that base? So you see Obama's people doing a lot of data analytics. Where is the vote going to come from? Where is my vote going to come from? Okay, this is where my vote is going to come from. Okay, who are the Republicans that I should be looking at, even though I'm a Democrat? How do I push those those Republicans to my side.
Targeted voters.
Yes, they did that. All right. Then after that, because you are talking about that point, you are talking about partisan politics.
Yeah.
What about the general populace
That are not politicians.
that are not politicians? What is their major issues right now? That was why he came out with that signature health insurance. Because before then, Americans, you know what it is. If you don't have insurance in America, you are a dead person. One hospital visit, you pay $500.
Cash.
Cash. He brought that out. The Republicans fought him to nonsense.
But we still have Obama tomorrow.
He prevailed. In spite of what Republicans and what Trump did, he prevailed because those were policies that were put out. Go and read David Hasselhoff's book. You know, one of his political strategists. It's a book that Nigerians who are so-called political aides should go and read. Because a political aid is not about jumping all over the place, carrying the bag.
The aides right now are Agberos.
It's about you looking at your principal and say, okay, how do we reorganize it? Because it's not necessarily about the man. It's also about the people around him.
Orientation
and how they it's like a planetary system.
Yeah.
How do you build an institution around the man and push that institution into the consciousness of the people, not in his heart?
That will come up in the next 10 years, 20 years,
Exactly.
so that the movement will continue.
We grow and mature and win.
Philip,
Yeah, you see.
what we are saying is that we don't want what is in the heart.
Let me
I
respond.
can't see your heart.
You see, when you talk about the American elections and the demography, we must, as a matter of fact, we have said it over and over, we must stop this system of looking into outside the box. Let's domesticate it. Let's come back home. What will work for us? What work in America might not work for us. In America, the election itself is free and fair and it's acceptable. Here, we have an umpire that is appointed by the government and supervised by the government. So what the strategy that you will use to win election in America might not work here. You talk about the voters. Yes, the voter will vote and the vote will count. I just told you in the last election, the ballot paper because if you look at the presidential election of 2023 was very clear. People came out to vote for the first time. Most people came out to vote voluntarily on their own. And in Delta State, I'm being very specific. I mentioned Anosha State or Guasuku to be specific. Ballot paper cast for B were seen on the roadside. They were removed from the ballot board on their way to the what do you call it?
So how did Obi still win Delta?
Listen, what they were doing, what happened? They tried to remove from Obi vote, especially in the Delta North. Obi win Delta based on the vote that came from Delta South and Delta Central, and Asaba in particular, because Asaba is a cosmopolitan stand. So, but when you go to the semi-rural in the Delta North, that's where they did a lot of harm. Even the farmer, they voted for Obi. So what they did to remove Obi vote from the ballots on their way to collation center and feeding their own votes. It happened in River State. We also what happened in River State, in Port Harcourt.
Manipulation of figures.
You are witnesses to it. We had the result were mutilated. You know, these are the facts. So when you talk about America today, that if you put those strategies in place to win election, you are just dreaming. Okay. Look inward. See Nigeria as it is. How do you surmount these obstacles? That's what will be and Obidients are working towards.
Okay. Can I respond?
You respond, but I want to go a little bit dimensional,
okay,
which you can see fit your argument into. Now let's look at it from a broader perspective. From the Northwest, Kaduna, Katsina, Zamfara, Sokoto, Kano, we've seen marauders, these people ravaging communities. Yeah. Let me tell you something. These people doing this are not from the South. They are from within their communities. Good life is not being either a Muslim or APC or PDP. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Good life is good life. Whether you are Muslim, the rain when it falls on everybody.
That's correct.
We want good governance in our nation, Nigeria. People don't care whoever you are, whether you are colored, you are white, you are black. We just want to enjoy the good life. This demography we are talking about are the worst hits because nobody knows their tomorrow anymore. I schooled in Ahmadu Bello University. As at yesterday, there were a lot of stuff on Kaduna Road. That means I couldn't have been traveling. These are what we want Obi to be harvesting. How does he do that?
Let me answer your question by building on what he said about us looking at outside. I have studied development economics. Okay, so the primary thing in development economics is how do countries develop. One thing that struck me when I was taking a course with Jeffrey Sachs of Columbia University then was that, see, human experience is shared. Whether America, German, we Indians, we all behave the same way.
Humans.
Yes. There are crooks in America. There are vote riggers in America. I can tell you that.
No, I know that.
That is correct, right? When you give a space to a human, he's going to behave like a typical human. So we are not any different from the Americans or Indians or Germans or anything. So we cannot say we will do certain things that are exclusively, uniquely Nigerian. There's nothing like that. What we take, as I always say, is that it's just like in creativity. There's a universal soup of creativity that God has made available to all human beings. What you want to do as a people, as a tribe, as a race, as a continent, is up to you. So you see the Germans, see the Americans, you see the Chinese making some tremendous progress. That they don't have the different brain. It's the same brain matter that we have. So, like you said, and as I told you before we came in here, development is not something somebody struggles to tell you. It's something you experience. Because once a road is start, it starts. If you drive in there, there are no more potholes. You drive faster. You get to where you're going fast. You burn less petrol and all that. The second point is this. Let's make it clear and let's state it here. There's nothing that we are facing in Nigeria today that is an insurmountable problem. Nothing.
No matter how bad it is.
No, let nobody deceive you. That, oh, it's so, you see, this problem is so monumental, we cannot. No, God has given us such immense power. Even with our imperfection, there is a whole lot we can do. And we said it here. If a governor was getting 12 billion, is now getting 24 billion. What is it that prevents us from seeing that difference in what he's doing? Because if with 12 billion you're able to beat 4 roads before and 20 hospitals before and whatever, it means that the capacity has doubled. Your capacity to do more has doubled. But we haven't seen that translation. And why? And I always make that argument. It is because we have a bad heart. That's why. Once you, just as they say in the Bible, if a good king emerges, what happens to the people?
People smile.
My brother.
The Nigeria that Peter Obi said is possible is what we want. And we want to see that Nigeria. Maybe that's why it looks as if we are projecting Obi. We are not anti anybody. We are for Nigeria.
That's right.
And that's what we want to see. In your final words, I was in one gathering on Saturday, and in the gathering, it was a Muslim Hausa speaking community, and English was being used. I really frowned at the fact that English was being used. The reason, English doesn't develop. If English developed, the Chinese wouldn't have been developed like
right.
In China, they speak Chinese, and they are world rated.
Yeah.
The Germans, they speak German.
Right. Russia, same thing.
France, same thing.
Yeah.
This English that we speak, that look as if is only where you can speak well, in good English, that you can develop. I took my mind back to maybe the Oba of Benin, that never knew what was called English, that dug a moat
Round.
and governed his kingdom.
Yeah.
very well. How can we localize our things? Of course, development is everywhere. They came and saw how developed we were.
Yeah.
That's why they were interested in us. That's why they tried to put a direct rule or indirect rule to try to conquer us. That means we're intellectually sound. How can we make our own here be like what we can also export? Switzerland operates a federal system of government, but they did it to their own style.
Yeah.
How can we do that? Through the Obi matter that we are looking at.
That is why we are glad that Obi has resumed engagement.
Correct, correct. I like that.
Obi is one man, like I said in the opening, that is one man that gives the Nigerian youth hope for the future. He believes that we can move Nigeria from consumption to production. And how do you produce? Production means that you are doing the thing yourself. If you are farming, you are going to get the raw material and you are going to refine it to a finished product to any way you want to make it to be. You don't forget, Nigeria used to be a very formidable agricultural nation. We grew up to know that we have the cocoa in the south, the granite pyramid, the rubber in the south, and this thing, and tires were being produced. I remember when I was growing up, we went to one Michele farm in Kwale, somewhere in Kwale. I can't remember the place, Umutu. I was very young. Peugeot. I think we drove to Ghana. I followed my uncle. He went to negotiate for, tires or something or product. I can't remember, but I knew we went for that company. But today, that thing doesn't exist in Umutu anymore. So, yes.
What of NIFO?
So NIFO, I even have NIFO in my village. They used to produce, this palm wine there, and then they cook it, and it lasts so long. It's our own drink, But I don't think it's no more there. You have it in Benin. We used to go, somewhere. We get to, I can't remember, on your way to this, you get to, where is the place again? We used to go.
A lot of those industries.
Yes.
One of the ones in Kaduna, the textile industry.
So when you talk about how Obi is the hope. What he did, one of the first things he did after he resumed his engagement, is to go and visit a lady who is into fashion and designing, and said this fashion, business started in the 90s by a woman who passed it on to her daughter, who in turn again passed it on to her granddaughter, and that's what it is all over the world. They are sustaining that production line, and Obi is of the opinion that if this is what we need to encourage in Nigeria, that if you have this, that's why he makes reference to Bangladesh that made over 50 billion from export of textiles. And that is more than what we get from our oil revenue and all of that. That is a lot we can get from textiles. Like you said, textile used to be one of the major businesses in Nigeria. In those days, we have the textile mill in Benin, which is a road that names after it. We have in Asaba, and then in Kano and all of that.
That was the primary production.
Yes. All that had gone. So it's going back to the drawing table. So we have said it before. All we need to get all this done, like we was advocated, is that we need just one good head who can stem the whole ship towards the right direction. Once we get it right, other good heads will come up.
We'll follow.
The truth is that we have a lot of Nigeria we have over 1,000 Obi in Nigeria.
Like me.
But you can't see them. But if we have one,
can't you see me right now?
When we have one Obi,
he's not talking.
in the helm of affair, those other 1,000 Obi will
galvanize,
and you will see the country moving in the right direction. So we don't want good. We thank God Obi has come back. Whether he's the city president or not, he's doing the right thing, and people are copying from him. And people are seeing what he's doing, and they are trying to do it that way. That is the good head.
All right, I can understand where Philemon is coming from. What would make it better? I'm not sure he's anti-Obi.
I'm not anti anybody. I'm not a politician.
He's just looking at all political enemies, whichever way whichever way you look at it. And you already also are projecting towards what Obi is doing right. Whichever way, we just want us to be able to live a better life, not like animals. Some of us have traveled. We want to live it like we see it abroad. The first time I traveled to South Africa, I said they should remove Africa. They should just put South, because this doesn't look Africa, and all that. So we also want Nigeria as a leading black nation the largest of it in the whole world,
To show example.
to show example.
Be at the front.
Also looking at the enormous resources and intellectual capacity that we have. Nigeria should be better than what we are. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
It's still Landslide Podcast. We'll be right back.